my purpose for this few minutes is to talk you out of marriage. I want to frighten you away from marriage. People think that they need to get married to be fulfilled. And this is the pressure part of our culture. If you are 35 and you ain't married, they think something's wrong with you. Maybe you are homosexual. Maybe you're a lesbian. What are you doing? And especially if your friends are girls or boys like yourself, they begin to think all kind of funny things. In other words, they almost think that if you ain't married, you are strange. You are strange. You are awkward. This is dangerous and it's wrong. You don't need to be married to fulfill God's will.
Inspiring habits.
Let no one put you under that pressure. Don't allow anyone to suggest to you that unless you are married, you can't fulfill God's purpose. Marriage is not a requirement for fulfilling your purpose. As a matter of fact, marriage is designed only for earth. And what I mean by that is you will discover in the biblical culture that Jesus was very specific when they asked him about life after death. He said in the afterlife there is no marriage nor giving in marriage. So marriage is really a temporary agreement between two people to live in a context of holy covenant. But it's not a requirement to fulfill God's will. And why is that important? That means that you should get busy fulfilling God's will. Stop looking for someone to marry. Let them find you. I know that sounds simple and maybe it's tough for you, but I have discovered that if you don't do that, you're going to do some dumb thing. You're going to make some dumb decisions. So don't feel pressured that you have to wait for someone before you get busy with God's will. Failure in marriage can derail your purpose in your life. Not only is marriage not necessary to fulfill God's purpose for your life, but it might interrupt the purpose. How many people you know were doing well until they got married? I mean, they were on focus. They got their life in order. You know, they were serving God. They were building their business. They had a good situation going, building their house. They were on a target. And then they got married to some bum or some girl who don't know what she wants. And then life just messes up. It happens often. So marriage itself could be a destructive experience. So don't think that marriage is all that they paint it up to be. Believe me, marriage is a very dangerous thing. There's some in this room who could tell you the dangers that they've been through, the stress. I want to relieve you from that pressure. It is better to be unmarried and happy. Some folks are married right now and they wish they was you. It is better to be what? Unmarried than to be married and depressed. The loneliest people I've ever met are married people. Do you know why? Nothing can be more lonely than being stuck in a marriage that ain't working. So please, if you are unmarried, give God praise. Give God praise. Don't rush into stuff that people can't wait to get out of. And so don't be afraid to not be married. It's not the solution to any problems. Sometimes it's the formation of great problems. Let me not rush into this thing anymore. Let me settle into being single right now. Somehow we think that a miracle happens at the altar. Sometimes the greatest curse is coming down the aisle. Nothing changes in that church. Nothing. What came in goes out with you. Go back and find out what kind of male and female God used in the beginning. That's what makes the thing work. We keep wanting the perfect cake and putting a lot of salt in the flour when we mix it. We keep expecting success when we are building with failure. We want perfection with defects. Matthew 19, Jesus said these words. That they asked Christ a question, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any and every reason? He answered them, haven't you read that at the beginning the Creator made them male and female? He ignored the question and went back to the recipe. They asked him about divorce. He went back to something different. He went back to male and female. He said divorce is not the problem. Divorce is a symptom. Something went wrong with the product that fell apart. And the product fell apart because the ingredients that were used were not right. He says the problem is something went wrong at the foundation level. The male and female was contaminated, he says. Something was not right with the individual, the singles. So he took it back to the singles. He said God didn't make marriage first. God's main issue is male and female. He said that's what God began with. So he placed the priority where it belongs. And he says, for this reason should a man leave his mother and father and be united to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Jesus said, anyone who divorces his wife except for adultery, of course, marries another woman, commits adultery. And the disciples said unto him, if this is the situation between a husband and wife, it's better not to marry. Peter, James, and John said, my God, if that's the standard, you might as well stay unmarried. They heard something that frightened them, and I want to frighten you with it too. If marriage is that dangerous, let me make sure I get this right. Life is too short for you to miss the first time. Look at how he closes the thing. Jesus said, not everyone can accept this word about marriage, only those for whom it has been what? Given. In other words, not everybody can handle this standard. Take your time, because if you jump before you are completely whole and separate and unique, you're going to have problems. Not everybody is ready for this, he says. Others have renounced marriage because of what? The kingdom of heaven. Some of them understand that, look, I want to serve God's kingdom, and this is what I want to do, and I need all my time to do it. That's a decision you can make. There's nothing wrong with that. Jesus is recommending it, actually. So marriage is not a requirement to fulfill God's will. I don't want you to feel no pressure at all. Don't let nobody pressure you. It's okay to be who you are right now and enjoy every minute of it. The last part, he says, the one who can accept this, let them accept it. Can't do it, don't touch it. So any male after chapter 3 of Genesis and any female after chapter 3 of Genesis, you got to pray hard. Because you got yourself a fallen male and a corrupted female, and you still want God's perfect product. That's what he's talking about. He's saying, look, you got to come back and get fixed up first, then try God's product again. And this is why we need to come to the manufacturer. Not to be religious, we need to get fixed. Unless you get the people in your life, they causing you more heartache than anyone could imagine. Like the person who loves you beating you up. It's confusing. So here's the issue then. Your marriage is only as good as your singleness. Write that down. You bring to the marriage what you are as a single. No more, no less. So don't walk around pretending that this thing is his fault or her fault. Listen, even in relationships, whatever you bring to a relationship, that's what it is. You don't think, well, because we come together, then there can be something better that we create. No. Whatever you are, that's what you create. So it's more important for you to make sure you bring the best to the relationship, which means that you got to become the best before you bring the best. So you focus on yourself to become the best, so that when you're working together with someone, you bring the best contribution to them. A lot of people are defects, not assets. They will devalue you by association. They will destroy your value. So here's what I think. Marriage is like an omelet. It's only as good as the eggs. So you can pray over an omelet all you want. It depends on the eggs you use. Omelets are determined by the quality of the eggs. Marriage is like the omelet. It's already together. I intentionally took an egg and I took a pin and I cracked it. When you crack an egg, bacteria get inside and it rottens the egg. I didn't know eggs smell so stink until that day. It's the foulest scent you want to smell. I was shocked to find out that the good egg was completely overtaken by the rotten egg. No matter how good you are, if the other person has cracks in their character, bacteria in their emotions, they got germs in their psychology, when you crack with them, they win. Somehow we get this idea that after we get married, I'm going to change this person. It doesn't work, does it? So the best thing to do is don't crack at all. Don't be unequally yoked up with other people. But here's the worst part of the egg. Once you have an omelet, you can never get eggs again. You can never be separated like you was. Do you know that folks in this room who are divorced are still carrying their old marriage with them? It stays with you. Your history is you. God gives counsel so that you can enjoy your memories. When God gives you an instruction or a command, He may even give you a warning. He's really protecting your memory. There are some things right now that you wish you could forget, and they're not pleasant. So when God says don't do certain things, He loves you so much, He don't want your memories to be a problem. He wants you to enjoy your memory because He knows what kind of creature He made. So here's my big question. You want people to marry you all the time. But here's a question you ever ask yourself. If you knew all you know about you, would you marry you? Think about it. I mean, think about what you know about you. The secret stuff you're doing, the private things no one knows about. It's amazing how we want people to just take this thing with them. Take me home with you. Well, what is you? Not who, what is you? What is this I'm getting here? Would you marry you with all those habits you get? You know, humans are strange. They always look good in public. Are you the kind of person that I can enjoy living with for 90 years? Think about it. Prepare yourself to do that for someone. What do you have that I could live with forever? So take care of your life first. Here's another question. Could you live with you for the rest of your life? But we never think about these things, do we? We're like, you will love me. I promise you will love me if you take me home forever. Mess them people's lives up. You say, I'm tired being single. I'm telling you, you ain't never been single. All you're being is unmarried. It's not a singles problem that you have. It's being single. That's your problem. In other words, we use this term single and we throw it around, don't even know what it means. They're different. You want to be single. You don't want to stop being single. So we confuse the two. We think that our problem is that we're not married. Well, you're right. Never confuse single with being alone. The word alone means to be exclusive. That means you're all the only one of your kind. That's not true. There are a lot of males, a lot of females in the world, so you're not alone. Now you might be lonely, but you're never alone. Loneliness is a sign of a problem. Matter of fact, singleness is a state to be pursued, not avoided. And to be single should be the goal of even the married person. Because it is the singleness that keeps your marriage together. This definition is what saved me. I got married to my wife. We've been married for 31 years. And our key to our marriage is our singleness. The way you measure if you're single is whether you need to be married. If you don't need to be married, you're probably ready to be married. People make us feel guilty if we're not interested in marriage. But you're the perfect candidate for marriage if you don't need to be married. Because you are close to being whole. It means that you are having a good life all by yourself. And that's a sign of wholeness. Wholeness means I don't need nobody to become somebody. Singleness means I don't need you to approve me. I don't need you to make me feel important. I don't need you to tell me how good I am. In other words, wholeness means I am free from needing you. That's why I am good for you. Because I'm not coming to take from you. It's a mystery, isn't it? So if you need to be married, you are dangerous. If someone comes to you and says, I love you, don't you ever leave me, run. Ever since you came into my life has been changed. And I just want to thank God for you. They get very spiritual, I want to thank God for you. I prayed for you all my life, and boy, I'm so glad you answered all my prayer. They're putting pressure on you. In other words, what we really mean is we want to get married. That's what we mean when we say, I'm tired being single. You're using the wrong terminology, and that's why we're confused. Because you get married, and you were never single, and your marriage is a disaster. Because it is singleness that makes the marriage possible. Marriage is two whole people coming together. If you are not a whole person, and I'm a whole person, and you marry me, you're going to be a parasite. You're going to suck me to death. Suck the life out of me because you are not complete. So you're going to use me to try to become complete. You're no longer a blessing. You are a burden now. You suck my life out of me. And there are people who this is happening to right now. Their spouse is sucking their life out of them because they got defects. They lack so much. Most married people have never been single, and that is why unmarried is a state, while singleness is a disposition. You are in the state of not being married right now. If you are not married, that's a state you are in. But singleness is different. It's not a state. It's a disposition. It is an assessment of your entity, who I am. And most people have never achieved that before they get married. So here's what I always say. It's okay to be single, but not okay to be alone. The first thing God found that was wrong with Adam was he was alone. God never told him it was not good to be single. He was complete and whole. Matter of fact, the proof that Adam was completely single was evidenced by the fact that Adam didn't even know he needed anybody. God made the decision. Genesis 2:18. God said, it is not good for this man to be alone. Adam had no complaint. He never talked to God about it. The guy was having so much fun naming animals and talking to trees. The guy was having fun. He was taking over that garden, dominating. He was in his purpose. He was on the groove. He was moving. And God says, I like this guy. He needs to share this with somebody. Relationships are for sharing your victories and success, not to bring on new burdens and depression. Let's be honest. If you know somebody is stupid, dumb, aggravative, frustrating, they got all kind of disease in their bodies, would you marry them? But you do. You just don't know until it's too late. Born again single means that you are now focusing on these three things to become whole. Whole means first to be separate. Separate means you are apart, detached, and different from everybody else. This is important. A lot of people are not this yet. They are 50 years old and still not separate. They always need people around them to feel important. They need people always in their company. Matter of fact, they hate to be by themselves because they are bad company to themselves. Separate means I am not my brother, I am not my sister, I am different from my friends, and don't try to make me over. I am me, leave me alone, I am separate from all of y'all. That's important because that's a part of your value. The second one is what? Unique. Unique means I am original. I've discovered that I have a distinct quality, a distinct design by God. I am not like anybody. My fingerprint is unmatched anywhere, and ain't nobody could be like me, and I can't be like nobody. Leave me alone. I like who I am. I am unique. I am different from you. I am special. Unique. Do you believe that about yourself yet? And the last one is what? Whole. Now, whole is a tough one. Being whole means that you are complete in yourself. You are unified with yourself, all of yourself. Your body, your mind, your spirit are all connected. You are in love with your whole self. It also means that you are one with yourself. That means you don't need anyone to complete you. This is so important. We've been taught that this is my better half. Boy, that's a dangerous statement. So I was half all these years. So now when I meet her, we both whole. And so what happens is, I try to make sure I take as much from you as possible to become whole. You try to take as much from me as possible to become whole. So for 30 years we keep fighting, trying to rob each other of each other. And that's why when we get a divorce, you jump off the bridge. Or you can't go to work. Or you become insane. Why? Because you're half a person. Listen, relationships are supposed to be two wholes coming in connection to each other. My wife doesn't need me, and that's good for me, and I don't need her. We really don't. We can live apart and be happy, but we decide by covenant to live together. So we are two full people. That means whatever I do for her is not because I'm trying to get something. Why? I'm full. Whatever she does for me is not because she needs something from me. Why? She's full. So whatever I give her is overflow. It's me saying, look, I don't need nothing. I just want to do this because I want to do this. Love is a decision to share with someone. But if she's half full and I'm half full, then I can turn it upside down and pour inside of me. What's wrong with her? Empty. She said, baby. She grabbed me. What's wrong with me now? Empty. And for 30 years, we keep fighting each other, trying to become whole because we're not single. So here's what I want to close on. Singleness is the most important state of human development. Singleness is the foundation of God's human family. God began this human race with one person, not a couple. Sometimes we think that marriage is God's foundation of the human race. That's not true. He only made one person at the bottom. What he's telling us is every relationship begins with the single. So you determine what happens in our relationship, and I determine what happens in our relationship. The single qualities of those people. So it's important for you to focus on singleness and not try to create relationships without first building who you are. The foundation of the human race is really a single person. So the most important people in the world are those sitting in this room who are unmarried. They're the most important. And they determine what's going to happen to us in the future as a country and as a community. And this is why all humans must begin a relationship with the single. What's the quality of your life? What we get in marriage is this big fight going on constantly, but if two of these are full and they meet each other, whatever he gives her is overflow. Whatever she gives him is overflow. And if he decides to leave her, she's still. So this is the secret to a good relationship. It's not the other person, it's making sure you are becoming whole when you don't need anybody to approve anything for you to feel good. In other words, you're telling this girl that if she leaves you, you're going to be in trouble. That means you tie your entire peace and sanity to another person. You are sick. So use the sunshine of my life. That means before you came, I was in darkness. You can manipulate me anytime. If you're full, you can be a blessing. But if you're half a person, everybody's in trouble. Because you now are a leech. You're sucking on people. That's why you move from relationship to relationship to relationship. It's a sign that you are sick. You are just sucking on people, trying to find yourself, trying to complete yourself by sucking other people, and sucking them to death. Some people are married and they are sick and sickly and they are depressed. Why? They live with someone who's a parasite for 25, 30 years, man. Suck them emotionally, suck them psychologically, suck them financially. So you want to focus on yourself right now. You want to say, let me develop myself, let me enhance myself, let me read books, let me focus on my intellectual development, my spiritual development now, my physical development. Let me get my hygiene sorted out. Let me get my vision sorted out. Let me decide what I want to do with my future. Let me get my purpose defined. Why? Because I want to make sure that when I bump into opportunity, I'm not a parasite. If they go toward wholeness and you meet them, you're on the same road. So you don't want to be picking up all kind of junk and then try to make something out of it. It's just too much hard work, you know, it's hard work. So don't use your time looking for somebody. Let them find you. Use your time becoming somebody. We're so busy looking for someone we want, we don't have time to become who we are. If you are not complete, all your defects will show up in marriage. So you think you're okay now? Get married. Are you a gift? Are you a gift? Or are you a curse? Are you a curse? Are you a promotion to me? Or are you a demotion? What is it that you have that will improve my life? Stay single until you get that all sorted out.